Visiting New York or any other major city, I always found it advantageous to be a jogger. And I often was jogging for many, many years. And visiting Manhattan once, I found myself jogging through New York Central Park. And contrary to what they say about the city that never sleeps, apparently everyone was sleeping because I was the only person in the park that morning. And as I came out the northern end of the park by the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, I walked up the steps and I thought, if anyone questions me or wonders what I'm doing, they'll see it's obvious. I'm just a jogger, but nobody did. And I found myself all alone in the empty cathedral. Sometimes being the only person on the scene is the best camouflage of all. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This Sunday, the topics included being having sympathy symptoms, taking drugs through O'Hare, and how drinking coffee apparently can prevent suicide. We also talked about putting grandmother into the freezer so you can continue to collect benefits. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Isaiah. We delight in asking for judgment while we continue to serve our own best interests. And it's an example of how we say one thing and do something else. From Corinthians, I did not come to speak to you with lofty words. Faith's not based on human wisdom, but on God's wisdom. Only humans can know what is human, and only God knows God. Those who are spiritual discern all things and are not victim to anyone's scrutiny. The sermon at Washington National Cathedral was by Leonard Hamlin. He preached about asking the question, who are we? Sunday is the first day of remembering who we are each week. It's what constitutes us. And in some ways, we could see ourselves in a constitutional crisis of who we are. What do we stand for? And what we stand for and profess, does it really bear out in our day-to-day reality? At St. James, the sermon was about being on the offense or defense and being opposed or versus, and how these polarities often pit us against one another. It's the them versus us instead of the and them and us, which is probably a more winning strategy. Instead of being polarized, but working together, it's complementary. In the sermon, the analogy of basketball was given, and the idea that we have offense and defense. And it's kind of this weird nuance was made that you could make the case that defense is somehow part of the other team because it's playing to their side for your advantage. And it's the idea of infiltration. We often sometimes don't know who's really on what team after all. Who ultimately benefits from this, from the division. It's similar to the cautionary tale of the Bible of the Pharisees. It's always those people who seem to benefit from these polarities and divisions. And in our time, we have the politicians and even the church itself. Anyone in power can fall into the trap of control. Control inserts itself, and it becomes about the something else. The readings of Corinthians, suggest the idea that only human, you have to be human to really know what's going on in the human psyche. And understanding God, we can only do that through God and the Holy Spirit. And what we say and what we do, we say one thing and then do the opposite. I mean, we can kind of see that we can see that in politics and culture and definitely in the church today. Someone explained to me recently that the church kind of operates in this middle band. They described it as a sandwich, that we're kind of sandwiched between these two layers, and we circle around and we elbow against each other. And we think that there's movement and growth, but really it's in a very confined bandwidth. And if you're within that, you're compressed and somewhat restrained, but you're probably comforted by it. And if you're going to move on, well, you're going to age out or opt out or move out or fall out of the bandwidth of the church. It's the idea of the institutional church and the spiritual church. The institutional church only has so much bandwidth for the spiritual. And many of us, including myself, for no better term, have, I guess we've aged out. We just didn't know it, but it was probably inevitable. There wasn't enough room for us to go much further in the institutional church. And we can see this in so many different manifestations and examples. Um, Often in life, we have to play a role to get where we need to go. And again, I was reminded recently of my previous incarnation in this life as a jogger, and how that really sufficed in so many different instances. Another occasion, another visit to Manhattan, jogging through Lower Manhattan and running through the World Trade Center Plaza. And I remember, again, it was another desolate, quiet time, and I seemed to be the only one there, and pausing in the middle of the plaza, really taking it all in. And I'd never seen the base of the World Trade Centers, but at the base, the tall vertical structures, they come together and form these very unusual and surprising to me at the time Islamic echoed Islamic architecture arches as the verticals merged into these columns and separated to create portals for entry in the building. I remember pausing there in my jogging self before I pressed on. We all need to press on, and whatever the bandwidth is, we sometimes need to push through that, whatever it is that's constraining us. And it's, we're in a time right now where probably we need to move on. We know what it is to be human because we are human, and to know God is to know God. To know an institution is to know an institution, but who wants to be in an institution? I was reminded of the hymn, There's a Spirit in the Air Today, during the readings. And um, it's important because the sentiment of the Corinthians reading and the hymn lyric was the idea that it's not important that we fast. It's important that a hungry child is fed, and we're encouraged to lose our shyness and find our voice so that we can live tomorrow's life today. If you would like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour, I will include my email in the description of this video. And Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time, and I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.